Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, your host for today. This is episode 175. We're recording March 30th, 2016. You'll be watching it on the 31st, if you watch it the day we posted it. We've got a lot to talk about, including scams and fantasies. I can't wait for this topic. I can't wait for it. But to join me with the chat on the line, let's introduce the hosts so far. Mr. Jason Winter, how are you?
You know, I have a play coming up. That's why I haven't shaved for a week now.
Oh, see, I'm rubbing off on you.
No, I'm just lazy. I just, yeah. I'm not going to try to put in an excuse that says I have a play coming up. I'm just lazy and didn't want to shave for a while. So.
Hey, I would shave every day, rather than be lazy and have that stuff there. So it's only for a play when I'm doing it. I don't know how you do it. It just drives me nuts. I don't know how our friend Justin Kennedy really does it.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Well, didn't he shave a bunch of it off just recently? Showed a picture.
Yeah, it's like right up around here on him now instead of,
Wow, I mean, he was rocking wizard level shit for a while there. More power to him. Love that guy. Also on the line, as you can already see, chatting Justin Kennedy's beard.
It was a truly impressive beard.
Q, how are you?
I am good. I am kind of scattered everywhere because I have, a move coming up, but I'm okay. I can breathe.
Moving states, no longer going to be right next door to hi-rez. Is that making you sad?
That does make me a little sad, but I will actually be back in Mississippi, so I'll be in between Atlanta and Austin.
Well, there you go. You can go and visit Jason and have lunch. Let's slide over and get started with the news.
I'm not in Austin, but otherwise she could totally do it.
Well, Texas. It was close
enough.
enough.
Texas is just a small state. Everything's close together.
You can walk from one side to the other, I'm sure. All right, the first news topic today, something I can't wait to talk about. And I want to know where everybody on the panel sits today on this one. Here's the broad strokes overview. We will provide more details, I'm sure, as we get into things. But basically, I almost forgot my LY there. Basically, Trion Worlds reversed a scamming decision in ArcheAge. So I could scam Jason out of some goods via trade or whatever. And that's typically part of the gameplay, is scamming and screwing over other people. Q, your article, you mentioned Eve. This is a big thing in Eve, and there's bards singing songs of people that have done it successfully in Eve.
Even if you don't play Eve.
Oh, yeah.
You read the stories about the stuff that people have done to each other in Eve, and it's the great. They've written comic books around it, around the actual scams in game.
That is fantastic.
It is. It's amazing.
Fantastic. So here's the deal. This one got reversed, and the person that lost all of their goodies was given them back. Now, to frame it a little bit, the person that lost their goods was, I'm going to pronounce it as therapist, even though that's not the intent of the name, which we'll get into in a little bit further. A therapist from Morpheus's Regade stream. A whole Doctors with Borders charity thing was going on. The scam happened live in real time. It was viewed by many. Trion reversed it and gave the goodies back. Now, the scam happened because the player taking the items had, creatively in my mind, created a character with a very, very similar display name to a friend of therapists that they would have normally traded items to. It wasn't them, obviously. A little bit of a different name. So Trion reversed this, gave them back their goodies, and then also said, this has been a long-time policy of ours, but we haven't really made it public. By the way, terms of service, etc., etc., etc. These are all the little details that we're going to have to get through when we talk about opinions here. Jason's been digging through terms of service and things like that. So Jason, I'm going to let you start off with how you feel about the whole thing in general, and then finally where Trion landed with their decision.
In general, I want to say I'm okay with Trion doing this. I don't have a problem. We'll get into the nitty-gritties of it and so on, but what I found in the different documents, EULAs in terms of service, and what I've heard is also the case in Eve, is that the one thing you cannot do is impersonate someone. That'll get you in trouble in Eve. It will also get you in trouble in ArcheAge, and that I can agree with. I think that's been a part of policies in a lot of these games for a while. I don't have a problem with that. The fact that it came up on a stream where everyone was viewing it made it seem like a bigger deal than it probably was. So I think that part of it has been overblown a little bit. I think they were right in reversing this. Now that said, I looked at a few things. Here is the Trion Worlds EULA. Last updated according to the site 9/12/2014. Last updated 8/1/12, August 1st, 2012. It says it does forbid impersonation, but it says you cannot, quote, participate in any action that, in the sole and absolute opinion of Trion, results or may result in an authorized user of the game being scammed or defrauded out of gold, weapons, armor, or any other items that the user has earned or purchased through authorized gameplay. Now that is the Trion policy. As I said, it came up in 2012 before they even had ArcheAge.
It's not the specific ArcheAge end-user license
right.
agreement.
I could not find anything on that. Probably, maybe I could have actually downloaded and logged into the game. I don't have an updated version of that. But that is what is on the page for Trion, which supposedly covers all their games. It would seem to be what you'd have for Rift or Trove or whatever. That would seem to be the policy you'd want. I then looked on the ArcheAge forums. Now, this is related to the forums themselves. So it's not about the game necessarily, it's about what's on the forums. And it is ArcheAge specific. And it says something you can't do is scamming, acquiring items, currency, or other in-game possessions from another individual through misinformation, confusion, or fraud. So that is banned on the forums. So between those two
But again, not
things,
speaking to the game itself.
But at least it's ArcheAge specific. So between those two, at least being the things that you could easily look up and research, that would seem to indicate that any scam of any kind is illegal, even though now they're saying, yeah, it's okay if you do an ArcheAge, just don't impersonate somebody. So at the very least, they need to clean up their act and make sure they've got all their stuff saying the same thing everywhere where it needs to be said.
And it does get linguistically challenging with some of the other aspects of this. But first, Q, let's get your take on this. You wrote an editorial about it, so I know your point of view, and everybody, I encourage you to check out the editorial at mmobomb.com. But for the sake of completeness, where do you stand on this whole thing?
So, like you said, obviously, if it's really in there, hey, you're not allowed to do this, and it's made very clear to the players, this isn't something you're not allowed to do. And like you said, in Eve, one of the things is you can't impersonate somebody, but that's known. That's been known forever as a factor. Like, it's not a case of it even being buried in the EULA in Eve. It's out there. You know that if that's something that you do, that you're going to be busted for it. But in the case of any game, I think, that involves things like scamming and stuff like that, if it's not clearly defined there in the rules, then I kind of feel like that there should be a little bit of a buyer beware kind of thing. Is like I said in the post, this is something that happens in real world scamming, right? Somebody pretends to be somebody else, somebody they're not. Like, it happens with our email accounts, and we've all gotten that random email that it's like, oh, you just changed your password. Click here to go and, verify this, and yada, yada, yada.
Are you saying I'm not the Nigerian finance minister?
No. If you're smart, what do? You look at it kind of like it's crazy. You check all the, the email headers and stuff like that, and then you go to your web browser and you type in the domain and go there and change all the information anyway, just to be safe. You don't actually click that button, even though it looks very much like a Gmail email. Like, you just don't do it. So in this case, it's like, I'm aware of who my friends are in game. I know what they sound like when they talk to me, and I'm typically not going to engage in a trade with somebody that doesn't involve some sort of dialogue to begin with. So I know who I'm trading with. If somebody manages to scam me by making a name that's a character different than my buddy, then that's kind of my fault.
So the big parts of the end-user license agreement that are being quoted all over this thing, because it's basically, Jason created a character, Jason, Jason. Obviously, I cannot create a character with that exact same name. The game systems just won't let me do that, since it's a unique identifier. But this would be me going in and saying JAS0N, or trying to use, a lowercase l to simulate a capital I. That's basically the gist of the type of scam that we're talking about here in the name. So a lot of things that we're seeing in the EULA brought up, the actual ArcheAge ones and some of the Trion ones, is that rules related to usernames and guild designations, there's a clause in there that you cannot, in particular, you may not use any name belonging to another person with the intent to impersonate that person, including without limitation a game master or any employee or agent of Trion. And I think all of us kind of understand that across all games to be, don't pretend to be somebody that works for Blizzard if you're in World of Warcraft. Don't pretend to be somebody that's part of Trion if you're playing Rift or ArcheAge or anything like that. The other quote that we constantly see in this whole discussion is the B section of that, the rules related to chat. And when engaging in chat, you may not, and I'm going to jump ahead to the one we're talking about here, the eighth subnote, impersonate any real person, including without limitation any game maker or any other Trion agent or employee, nor may you communicate in the game or on the site or service in any way designed to make others believe that your message constitutes a server message or was otherwise posted by Trion. The important part there is impersonate any real person, including game masters. This gets really sticky language-wise, because there's the argument that I tend to agree with that they weren't attempting. First off, it wasn't chat related. I mean, there was some chat involved, but they did not come out and say, I am this person, or try to act like that person, to Q's point of knowing how your friends speak. But I would argue that they were not impersonating a real person to begin with. They're trying to impersonate an avatar. To me, this clause, I think, is more designed to say, hey, stop trying to say you're Britney Spears. Stop trying to say that you're a Jason Winter, that you're a higher up in the company, or a celebrity name.
The real purpose of those clauses is to protect the company, so that when somebody comes on and says, oh, I'm GM so-and-so, they get banned because, they're coming on and trying to say, oh, well, we're implementing these rules, or this is, happening in the company, or whatever. That's what those rules are really there for.
And what Trion's kind of pointing out is, yeah, we do encourage scamming and that type of thing in the game, but that we encourage it more through through trade, through auction house, that type of thing. And I'll get to this later, but I mean, we used to scam people all the time in Phantasy Star Online before they fixed that. That doesn't really apply here because we were abusing the hell out of a system that later Sega fixed because we were abusing the hell out of the system. But in a game like this, yeah, there is a certain amount of scammage that's allowed, but they just meant for it to be through other channels. I thought, reading this, damn, that's clever. Damn, that is clever, and I can't believe they fell for it. I might have fallen for it. I'm not saying that, oh, you're dumb, I wouldn't have done. I might have fallen for the damn thing too. But ArcheAge also has so many tools to make sure you are trading with the right people. You can use the /target commands. You could use there's different tick options as far as who's allowed to even trade with you, so that you can turn it on and say, only these people are allowed to initiate a trade with me. It's so sticky. Like, I wanted them to keep all of their stuff, and I honestly think that Trion just opened themselves a can of worms here by reversing this one, because it also bled into a discussion about, you're only fixing this one. You didn't fix mine a year and a half ago. You're only fixing this one because A, it was high profile, and B, the player's a bit of a whale as far as spending money in ArcheAge goes, Jason.
See, that's the other issue I have, too, with them saying, in their forum response, saying, this has always been a policy. We've always done it like this. Oh, and by the way, if you have anything that hasn't been resolved, let us know. Which makes it sound like, yeah, we just started doing this now, so if you had another issue previously, now we'll take a look at it. So I don't
It's like, well,
I don't
basically they're
know.
forcing themselves to have to take a look at it so that they don't sound like they're just literally doing this for this one guy.
I mean, there are guilds in game that, since launch, have been impersonating each other. They've literally been impersonating each other, trying to screw each other over, and it's been happening since launch. And there are people that I'm not the one bringing this up. There are people on the forums that play the game every day saying, then what about all the scamming you allowed for the first year and a half of the game, and now all of a sudden that this is a problem, and you're going to reverse it? I don't know. This is my favorite, one of my favorite forum posts on the topic here. And so I'm going to get the name, so I quote her. Gizmo Brown. In response to somebody saying, what happened yesterday on Therapist Stream was a clear impersonation of another player. What Trion have said is that you're allowed to scam and steal other players' gold or items through trade or auction house, but this is not that. This is someone making a character with a name made to look like another player's name. Again, these are just players discussing this on the forum. The name was made in such a way that it would at first glance be very difficult to spot the difference. This is a clear case of impersonation of another player to steal items during an event. It is not as if the player had that character for any length of time. It was a level 1 character, so should have also been a flag, maybe? I don't know that
Exactly.
that it was a level 1 character. So it had been made for the sole purpose of impersonating the player the items were being traded to, which the impersonator had seen on the stream. On that basis, it's against the terms of service. Whether Therapist is a whale or not, and whether Trion fixed it because he was a whale or not, is irrelevant. They did the right thing in giving items back, and I hope perma-banned the impersonator. Good job, Trion. My favorite is Gizmo Brown's reply, Jason, and I think you'll appreciate this too. So, you can lie, you can steal, you can scam by any ways possible. You can pretend to be a friend with people, then steal their chest while you're in their guild or families. You can exploit the games as hell, as long as you're not catched. You can kill level 20, 30 with level monsters with level 55 and farm them all to hell. You can make people mad and harass them till they quit the game. You can make an event where people will give you thousands of gold for making XXXX. But don't steal someone who is making an event for Trino. Of course, they had to say Trino. When Celestrata is here. I feel so fucked now, really. My guild got scammed by a guy who lies to us. When we call a GM after getting scammed, they tell us the scam is allowed. This guy's lying to you, betrayed you, but it is allowed. Now just STFU and get back to the game, give Trino more money. I'm pretty sure that's not the exact quote from customer service at that time.
Yeah. Well, and I'd want to know what he said in terms of the guy lying and scamming them. You know, what happened exactly? Was the person impersonating someone, which is bad, or were they just say, "Hey, I'm your buddy. I'll get you this great piece of land if you send me 5,000 gold or whatever," and then he didn't. You know,
yeah, or was the be friendly and get in guild for a month and a half and work your butt off to make yourself look like a good guild mate and then rob them blind.
Yeah, and that should be okay, but according to
it should all be okay. That's my point. Is where do you put the damn lines?
But it shouldn't be based on their EULA, which says no, you can't do this. So that's the even worse part.
This is the thing, though, right? Like we're arguing, because you're based on their EULA. None of that should be okay.
Right.
None of it should be okay based on the general Trion EULA, because just scamming it and let's not pretend that scamming people in game doesn't make you a jerk. It does.
Oh, it's so fun though sometimes, Q.
It does. It makes you a jerk.
It's so fun.
But if that's part of the gameplay,
yeah.
Like this is like where it's like if it's part of the gameplay and it's allowed as part of the gameplay, then scamming in general, however you manage to do it, however creative you are, as long as it takes place within the game and it's not like them coming to your house to do something or actually stealing your account or, things like that, as long as it's within the scope of the game, it should be allowed.
I'm with you. I don't think... My bottom line is I don't think Trion should have reversed this one. I really don't. I can see why they wanted to, and I'm not even talking about the whole whale aspect of this thing, and that just... Okay, it happened publicly, and But it really should have been happening then from the very beginning, and the first time they started dealing with customer service issues or GM tickets about it, it should have been brought to the forums and public, hey, here's the way we're going to handle this from now on. There's certain levels of things we're going to allow, and here's the line. Anything above this is not going to be allowed, and we wouldn't be dealing with this a year and a half, 2 years later. But the ingenuity, the actually getting somebody to fall for it, I can appreciate that to the extent where I really, really wanted to see them just totally get away with it.
Yeah, I can agree with I believe that the Trion staff believes that impersonation is bad.
Yes.
Other general scamming is good. That's what they believe. I don't have a problem with that policy. I think if that's what the policy is and what they've decided to implement, in this case, I'm fine with it. The problem is them coming up with the notion of this has always been part of our thing. Read the terms of service or whatever. Well, I read the terms of service, and you're wrong. This is not okay according to your terms of service. So
yeah, none of it is okay.
Stop telling me that it is. That's the problem I have with it.
So I guess no. So in Phantasy Star Online, by the way, just to put a cap on this, in Phantasy Star Online, when it first launched, I played it for the Dreamcast, and the trade system was just totally abusable. Basically, you'd be on a server, you'd go into a lobby-type room of the ship, and then from that ship, you would go down to the planet. Very repeatable content, kind of like a Skyforge thing, where you go to certain areas, do the stuff, and then come out to a lobby-type area. And so you would go into the general lobby and say, you're looking for this weapon or whatever, and somebody would say, I'll have it, I'll trade it to you for XYZ. Jason and I would party up to make the trade, and we would go into our party's lobby to get ready to go down to the planet, which we never would do. We would just make the trade in there and then drop party and leave. But the trading system was, you had to stand there and drop your item, Jason, and I had to stand there and drop my item on the floor, and then we'd pick up each other's items. There was no menu or anything like this. So you'd drop an item, and you'd drop a same class of item as you said you were going to drop, just so the icon on the ground looked like it was supposed to.
So it's a great sword, but not a +5 great sword or whatever.
Right, and you'd run over, grab their item, and leave, and as soon as you left the lobby, it broke the party and dissolved it. Yeah. So we used to do it all the time. It was a blast, and then Sega was like, yeah, this is not really what we meant, so let's actually...
This is why we don't have Phantasy Star Online, too, because they have to keep working to figure out how to make that not happen anymore.
Yeah,
that's the whole reason.
That's why. That's why. So I can appreciate the ArcheAge scammage. I think Trion probably made the wrong decision ultimately, and that's just my take on it. I don't think this one should have been reversed, particularly if you haven't historically been public about the rules and consistent. That's the other thing. They say that behind the scenes they've always treated these same things with a reversal, but we have no way of actually knowing that at this point. And if you look at the forums, everybody is not agreeing with that statement.
I take issue with that because everybody thinks they got scammed and they got a raw deal. So I don't know.
Well,
about that.
Either way, it's just a case of with things like this, it needs to be something that's clear and upfront.
Yep.
And like Mike said, it needs to be consistent, because if you're not consistent with rules, it's just like dealing with your children. If you're not consistent, they're not going to believe you.
Oh, I scam my kids all the time. Don't worry about
They
that.
drop their dessert on the floor. You drop some.
Yeah, I set down something that looks like $1. I run over, I grab it, and I head upstairs. All right, moving on, so we're not taking up too much time here. Allods Online, yeah, that's what I said. Allods, Allods, however you prefer. You go ahead and pronounce it the way you like. Allods Online is introducing a collector's... Sorry.
Far too amused by this.
I really am. When I kind of saw this, I was like, wait, really? And then, of course, there was the, should I buy this? And I was like, wait, when's the last time I booted this shit up? So, Allods Online is introducing a collector's edition. Yes, I said that right. There's actually 2 different packs that you can choose from for their upcoming expansion/update. The 2 prices run at about €15 and about €45 if you're keeping score. This is for their Wings of War update. Both of these packages are purely just in-game items. Like, it's not content related. It's like a pet and replicators and tools and all kinds of extra goodies like that. So it's basically like a cash shop package thrown at you for the new update. First off, Jason, what are your thoughts on a 7-year-old game now offering a collector's edition of its upcoming expansion update?
You know, on the one hand, it's not really even a collector's edition. It's like we see other games do, like,
Yep.
hey, here's the March package where you get, 2,000 cash shop currency and a new hat and a fancy title. Buy it for $30, whatever. They can call it a collector's edition. Go right ahead, whatever you want to call it. I'm just like, it's just a package. Although in general, I was going to say, though, you were so amused by this. I was just indifferent. Like, really, Allods?
I just found it hysterical. It's not like it's not something, and I wouldn't have found it funny at all if it is something they had done for the previous 6 updates, or anything like that. Nope, it was just like, oh hey, let's do this with the next update, Q.
I mean, it's weird, and like you said, if they had done it with all the other updates, then it would be like people with Blizzard, right, buying the collector's edition every time the new expansion for WoW comes out.
Or like EverQuest does when they do their expansions.
So it's a little weird to start doing it. What is it, like 7 in or?
Is 7 years old.
It's a little weird to do that just out of nowhere. But I mean, I guess, if maybe they did some sort of market research and realized, hey, people might buy it and there's a market for it, then I guess why not?
I mean, it wouldn't take all that long to survey the entire Allods player base, I don't think. Does that mean?
Knock on 6 doors.
Does that mean?
It for you, right?
Does that mean? I actually enjoy Allods Online occasionally. Saying that, I can't remember the last time I played it. It's been well over a year, and I'm not at level cap, so yeah. But so here's what it got me to thinking, though, Jason, is that this could actually, if they would have done it right, could actually, or have done it all this time, could actually be a nice little neat monetization track for a new free-to-play game. So here's what I'm going to throw at you. I'm going to make a game, MMORPG, MOBA, whatever the hell I want to make. I'm going to make it free-to-play, Jason.
Okay.
And then
sure that's a good idea these days?
Right. And then Q, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put a cash shop in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, we're going to do our updates every 3 months, right? We always hear that one. That with all the games, we're going to stick to a rigid update schedule every 3 months, Jason. You're going to be getting new content, etc., etc., etc. And then nobody ever sticks to it or anything. Except Final Fantasy XIV does a pretty damn good job, but that's sub-based, so different story. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that, yeah, we're going to do that every 3 months, and our livelihood depends on our ability to do that. Because I'm not going to put a cash shop in the game. I'm not going to sell you the box fee or anything. I'm going to unrestrict all content, just like Alice has done here with this update. And I'm going to sell these types of packages, maybe 3 or 4 different types of packages with boosts and stuff in it, for each of those update launches. If you want to buy them, great, you can get them. It's the only place you can get these items, so it's not like, well, I'll get that experience pot by itself off the cash shop. If you want the extra goodies, you can buy them once every 3 months or so, or you can totally skip it and just do the content. And that's going to be my monetization model. Nothing extra, just every 3 months with the new update. Here's the 3 or 4 packages we're offering for $8 all the way up through $30. Grab your packages and go. I think that could work. That could work. I would need I couldn't do a really tiny player base. I would need a good chunk of players, but I think something along these lines could work, and it's kind of a neat model to me. There's really no pay-to-win aspect of that, as long as I'm not influxing something ridiculously powerful into any one of the packages, Q. Or am I nuts? Am I missing something here?
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about it, and there's some games that kind of do a little bit what you're talking about, but they still have the other stuff attached to it. Like the Secret World would be one where you have to buy the game to be able to play it at all, and then there is the cash shop, but then there they do like the the small updates every so often with stuff, and it's got other content. But I don't know if I would sit down and just be like, okay, so there's a new expansion coming out, and there's just I get the expansion for free, so I'm literally just paying for these goodies over here that I can, because there's a lot of goodies in things that I don't even care about.
Right, but if you like experience boosts, if you like those, you can't get them any other way besides these packages. It's not like I'm going to sell them to you in the shop. I'm not going to sell you bag slots in the shop or things like that.
I guess
Jason is so like, this would never work.
Because I'm just looking at it going, okay, so there's this stuff, and then you probably have like some mounts or something in there as well that you can't get any other time but in this thing, and it's like, but do I really want to pay the money to get this mount? Like, is this mount cool enough? So then it would come down to literally the only real benefit for me buying this, if I don't like any of the other content included, is just the boosts. And I don't think I would want to pay collector's price for just boosts.
Well, no, but that's what I'm talking about. My prices would not be collector's edition prices. I would put them at like a $5 to an $8, maybe capping out at a $25, $30 package with like 3 or 4 choices along the way. Jason is entirely skeptical. And this isn't thought out to the T. I'm just like, this is the 30,000-foot overview of what I think could work.
Could I get just the boosts for a couple of bucks? Like,
that'll be my like $5 package, would be like just the boosty stuff.
Then maybe, because like I don't necessarily, like I said, if I don't like the mounts or the gear or whatever else is included in the larger package, I'm not spending.
I'm gonna make a killing for like 3 months at the very least.
But what if someone wants the boost plus a hat? Or what if someone wants the boost plus a mount? Or if someone wants a mount,
then they buy the $10 pack.
Well,
then they buy the $20 pack.
That's other crap that I don't want.
What about what Ion does, where you can literally build out your own box?
Build the box.
Yeah, the lack of freedom of choice, I think, is what would hurt that.
All right, so we let them build the box. We do a $5 package, we do a $15 package, and then for $25 you can pick out of these $80 worth of goods, so that you're getting a deal.
That's fine. That I think is better.
Theirs is based on how many cubes your items take up in the box. So you wouldn't necessarily get the same amount of items. You would get, like, if a sword takes up 3 slots, well then, that's 3 slots gone, kind of deal. But
I say we do it. We launch it tomorrow. We do it. Anybody got a good game idea? I mean, we totally just came up with the monetization prior to even having the game.
We just want to kickstart the monetization. We'll figure out the game later.
Before we slide over to the weekly bombs, I did want to take a second here with all these titles we've mentioned in the last week or two going from free to play to buy to play, and EverQuest Next, of course, dying. It's a scary time if you're like, maybe, hey man, there's not much out there. But Jason, you wrote an article this week of 21 free to play games you actually can still look forward to, and
if they stay free to play.
If they stay free to play. And I just wanted to get everybody's, that's the one I'm looking forward to, off of that list. Jason, you wrote the article, so if you want to sum up a little bit and then give us your pick, go for it.
Just one? I can only pick one?
No, you can pick one or two.
It's
What are you
hard.
looking forward to?
Well, because it's kind of like I look at each category, and there's like, the games in A, I'm sort of like, yeah, those will probably happen, and I'm really excited about them. B, a little further down the line, I'm not so interested. C is like, yeah, whatever, at some point. And then D's are whatever, but I mean, if I had to just pick one that I'm interested in, it would probably be Gigantic. I think that's what I'm really looking forward to. Getting to play it last year at
that one we need to
South.
see if it even comes out.
Yeah, I know. That's sort of the issue there. Is in terms of games that I feel like are certainly going to come out, I'm definitely looking more forward to, like Total War Arena, being the Total War fan that I am. I'm really sure that one's going to actually make it.
Yeah. Q,
And just in the long-term vision, I really like what Crossout looks like.
Yep, that's one of the ones that's really big for me is Crossout. I like the Mad Max aspect of that. Just build the hell out of a ridiculous car and go do your thing. Q, what are you looking forward to?
I mean, again, picking one is kind of hard. I always kind of look forward to the MOBAs, not necessarily even for me to play, but for me to watch, because, I'm a really huge esports watcher. So, Paladins and, like, Paragon I'm really interested in. But I would say maybe Fractured Space.
Good choice.
Just because I like space shooty thingies.
Good choice.
Dreadnought also very good. I
Yeah.
played twice at PAX South. That's another space shooty thing that's a lot of fun.
I think I'm going to get into Atlas Reactor for a little while. I don't know how long that'll stick.
Open alpha this weekend.
With me, yeah. Yep. I really do want to see Bless come stateside, but I've kind of lost my edge on Bless just because it seems like the whole combat thing was kind of shoehorned in there just so they could say it was actiony, and I don't know, framework-wise, the game really wasn't built for that. So I'm still interested in Bless and Fortnite. Fortnite is one that I'm hopeful will pick up where Paladins kind of lost me Paragon kind of loses me as far as the speed goes. So I like Epic Games. I enjoy Paragon. I want to see what they do with Fortnite. Let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. Q, you're up.
Well, I'm actually just going to give a general A-bomb to the weird decisions that developers have made this week.
Such as?
Well, obviously, Trion's little thing, but then also not free to play, but Tracer's butt. that entire thing is, even though it's keeping me entertained, it's just all kinds of, silly to me.
I got to give a huge A-bomb to Daybreak. Huge. To Daybreak hiring Larry LaPierre as the new head honcho. It's just terrible all the way around for the future of Daybreak. You have somebody that their resume includes a lot of stuff from EA and Zynga that you probably hated, the monetization models or some of the plans, and it just doesn't bode well for Daybreak, at least from a long-term PC MMO players. I mean, it may work great for them if they start pushing into mobile and stuff the way that it looks like they're going. Just, A-bomb all the way around on that one. Jason.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up during the Allods thing, just real quick. I forgot. If nothing else, look on the site and look at the little video they have, the class change token of this character trying to change classes. It's hilarious. So.
I will check it out after the cast.
My A-bomb is for winning putt. I gave
Well,
winning
you
putt
gave it a dub bomb last week.
I gave it a dub bomb last week, but this is golf. So you love it one week, you hate it the next. I give it a dub bomb. I give it an A-bomb because I'm just sucking all of a sudden. I'm slicing off the tee. I'm hitting into the bunkers. I'm shanking everything. I just got terrible in a week. So A-bomb to just winning putt in golf in general.
Have you hit any signs at 400 miles per hour?
Hit signs. Not hit any signs.
Alibaba says, I'm okay with Cliff B changing the model from free-to-play to buy-to-play, talking about Cliffy B's Lawbreakers title. If the game has enough content to justify the price, I'm not okay with it being buy-to-play if Nexon is behind it. I'll wait and see. Well, Nexon is behind it. Still, I do not believe a game as small and content-restricted as Overwatch, or any game of this same type, can justify charging full price. For example, if Call of Duty stopped having single-player campaigns, I would expect to cut the price in half as well. No, they wouldn't.
Only like a 4-hour.
Right. Lawbreakers, Overwatch, etc. are like a cartoony version of Call of Duty multiplayer. Half a game, that should be half the price. And I may agree with you, but it just won't happen. Go ahead, Jason.
Sailor Naruto 39 says, I want to give a dub bomb to Smite. Everybody loves Smite. I tried to play it for the first time last Christmas Eve when it just so happened to be having server issues, but gave it another chance earlier this week and love it. I could see the hype. I mean, I suck like a Dyson on a carpet. Wow. Okay. And
Best
he continues.
Analogy ever.
A small A-bomb to Black Desert Online. The game is pretty and all, but I feel like all the crafting, gathering, grinding, especially the fucking walking, kind of makes the game feel like a job I don't get paid for. Welcome to MMOs, pal. I know these first three aren't anything special or new, but it's the fucking walking that kills me, coupled with how herpy-derpy wagons and horses are. But whatever, I'll be counting on... But whatever, I'm just going to read what he exactly wrote here.
I think they meant I'll continue to play it anyway.
Read what he wrote, what the man wrote. But whatever, I'll counting to play it anyway, don't mind me. Kids, work on your spelling. Edit your comments.
Go ahead, Q.
The house always wins. Cliffy B, and yes, I will always call him that. Yes, I will too. I'll write it that way. You know why? Because Blazinski is hard to spell. has always had an ego problem, believing his own hype and thinking himself as one of the big names in game development. Sadly, he will get a bitter dose of reality when Lawbreakers fails. From what I've seen so far, Overwatch is the superior game. The fact that he believes he can compete with Blizzard on the same playing field while being backed by Nexon is just sad.
I don't know about the competition between the two games as far as this one plays better, this one plays better. I mean, that we'll see that as things go. But I kind of agree on the aspect of you had a chance to me to compete with Blizzard while it was free to play. You surrendered that only advantage that you really had if I'm looking at two boxes on a shelf and I'm going to make a choice.
Well, that's been the argument for a lot of people for Paladins. Oh, well, since Overwatch is now buy to play, I'm going to go play Paladins.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
It's not even about having the boxes, just having the recognition.
Yeah.
How many tens of millions of people have the Battle.net launcher and they can see Overwatch there? So
Yep.
it's always there, whereas Lawbreakers you have to really look for. So
and Blizzard has like a million other things going on with Overwatch as far as like their marketing for it is like they're doing it all in house and it's insane. They've got that money there just to be like, here, let us market this like crazy, and you're never gonna not see Overwatch somewhere.
Terry McClellan says, dub bomb to hi-rez for putting Smite on the PS4. I never really thought I would like a MOBA after my dismal failures in both League of Legends, due to community shenanigans, and Dota 2, due to computer hardware issues. Then, as I'm looking at the PSN store, I see Smite. And having heard you all talk about it at length, I decided to try it. And I love it. Even if I have only logged about 6 hours, it makes me happy that I found something to play during my Final Fantasy XIV downtime. Lots of Smite love
yeah,
this
a lot
week.
of Smite love today. Good for them.
Go ahead, Jason.
All right, Space Pirate Nav says if it was free to play, they would have had to make money off it somehow. I assume he's talking about Lawbreakers.
Yep.
They can either sell pay-to-win things or try to make the game genuinely inconvenient for players that don't pay. A new game like this probably won't come out of the blue and sustain itself with selling skins. Also, I'm sure they would better focus their efforts on improving the gameplay rather than trying to push skins or sell new heroes or whatever. I think going buy to play is a better decision, and hopefully they gradually grow with their community. You can't just make your game free to play and expect instant success. But I agree that the worst thing a company can do is say something is going to be free and then change their mind about it. How can you be so unsure of what you want to do with the product when you have 100% control of what happens to it? I don't agree with the notion that it had to be pay to win. I mean, a lot of these competitive shooter type games have done just fine with, or even counting MOBAs in that same category, have done fine with being free to play. So,
Go ahead, Q.
All right, Sky Shadow. I have a really, really small A-bomb for Guild Wars 2. Jason, please don't kill me.
hey, you should see my column next week on MMORPG.com. It might not be pleasant.
Or go listen to Free to Play
or
Police.
the police, yeah.
I love the game, I really do, but when I've got 5 characters to 80 and have no friends to play with, it's boring. Guess it's just back to Dota for me, since all my friends only play Dota. At this point, I just hit the random selection and just hope a match in fast. My question for your favorite classes was because I'm trying to draw the hosts as MMORPG characters, but I need all 4 hosts for that. I have 3 now, but I'll wait for 1. If Quinlan will be on the next cast, I'd love to know what your class role is. If she wants, I don't want to be rude.
So last week we all got asked what our favorite classes / tank, heal, DPS type characters are generally in MMOs. So you were the only one that didn't get to answer. Go ahead.
I pretty much always play a warrior class of some type, pretty often tank.
Oh, you are going to be an awesome MMORPG character when this gets drawn up.
And Sky Shadow, I'm so sorry you don't have friends to play with. If you want, message me and I'll hook
That is the worst. That is the worst thing, and that's usually why I leave an MMO, is because my friends don't want to do something else. Like I'd still be playing Ion if all my friends hadn't scattered.
Yep. Tech Hayes says Cliffy B, the Donald Trump of gaming.
I don't know which one.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know which one should be insulted more. Question of the week last week. What was the Founders Pack or Early Access purchase you took the worst beating on? Mine was obviously Landmark. I gave that. Either of you two take a beating on a Founders Pack or Early Access pack that you ended up wasting a good chunk of change on?
I don't buy that shit.
Yeah, I know you
You
don't.
know what? I still have money sitting around for Camelot Unchained, which hasn't been finished yet. So.
There you go. Tepik says, question of the week, no doubt at all, ArcheAge. I not only completely wasted my money, but had stress and frustration on top for weeks as Trion gleefully raked in the cash, with a constant and disgraceful complete lack of regard for its customers, until I finally gave up with it and the company and never looked back. Being just disappointed with a game is one thing, but this was probably the worst gaming experience I've ever had. And I don't think you're alone on that one. Go ahead, Jason.
Zaberfang X says, Shroud of the Avatar Early Access was my worst beating. I played for about 40 minutes and then never played it again. Good thing I got it on sale on Steam. The pain was not so great.
Wow, that's like 32 minutes longer than I played Landmark. I told you I logged into Landmark twice, and the only reason I logged in the second time was because I got DC'd the first time.
I got at least a few hours in.
I didn't.
I've done that much.
I didn't. Go ahead, Q.
Chris Baker, Aura Kingdoms. I played the game twice, bought the super huge Founders Pack for it, and never even got all the items I paid for.
Oh my god.
Ooh, you didn't get the plushie? No
Wow.
cards. Just a hollow emptiness that I feel to this very day.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's not cool when they don't give you your goodies.
Chris, I'm so sad too because they gave me a few decks of the cards when I went out to visit them a few years ago, and I just threw a couple of them away. I would have sent you one.
I have an oddball thing like that. Like I have a Spirit Tales lunchbox up there.
I've got the Aura Kingdom notebook though. Still.
There you go.
I use this to keep my passwords. So.
Yeah, I have a
Right,
lunch.
so now when somebody comes to your house, they know exactly where to look for your passwords.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. It's time to put a sticker over that and change it to a different game. I especially I shouldn't have said that. The house always wins. Question of the week. For some reason, I bought the...
Are you gonna make it, Mike?
He's done.
Oh my god. It's like just like this look of resignation on Jason's face. Like I could almost see the thought bubble that just said, "Oh shit."
I'm not opening my door. I'm not letting anybody in my apartment ever.
All right, the House Always Wins says, for question of the week, for some reason, I bought the Founders Pack for Skyforge. It looked great, was an action combat-oriented MMO, and had a sci-fi element and made it stand out from the usual fantasy MMOs out there. The biggest selling point for me, though, was Obsidian Entertainment, one of my favorite devs. Was co-developing the game, and I figured even if the game sucked, I'd still get some great story out of it. Sadly, such hopes amounted to nothing. This game should be renamed Grindforge, for all the grinding you'll be doing. I usually don't mind the grind. I've been a Warframe player for 3 years now, but the level of it in this game is just ridiculous. The biggest insult was that the story was absolute crap. I have no idea what Obsidian did to develop this game, but it was definitely not writing the boring, tedious, and annoying storyline. Frankly, Obsidian's involvement seemed utterly non-existent. It's most likely that one of the Obsidian devs owed money to some Russian gangsters and was forced to put their name on this tripe. Finish it up, Jason.
Nintendo, for the question of the week, says, I have to say it's multiple things, but yes, Landmark is one of them. I lost $100 because a company decides an MMO is no fun, but a better-looking Minecraft is fun. Well, they don't like Daybreak doesn't like MMOs that are no fun. They canceled one recently. Daybreak is generally refusing any refunds. The second one would be Skyforge. The game itself is not that bad, but way too repetitive, and even though the open world areas look beautiful, they are used way too rarely. They should have used all they have and created a traditional open world MMO and not an instance-based MMO.
Question of the week next week. I gotta know, gang. Do you think scamming players in any game by a change in display name should be fair game? Do you think it should be fair game changing the display name of your character? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you leave your weekly bombs there. Da bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad. Until next week, Jason, where can everybody find you?
Find me on Twitter at WinterInformal, and that really is my name. It's not a scam name that I'm making up. It's what I actually have on Twitter.
Q.
Find me on Twitter at Quinlan. Yeah.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me at Twitter at W1NTERINFORMAL. At magicman1. Of course, you can come on over to mmobomb.com, check out all the great articles, giveaways, and videos we've got there. And until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.